Hello everyone and welcome to Laracon India. And for those of you who've traveled miles and changed planes and have been on layovers, welcome to the city that I call home, Ahmedabad. તમને અહીંયા બહુ જ મજા આવવાની છે. Roughly translated to, you are going to have a lot of fun here. So yeah, getting the basics out of the way and thanking Vishal for the beautiful introduction that he did. I do want to share a few things about myself. Primarily, what do I care about? I care about things being calm, clear, and action-oriented. I prefer trying and failing over researching and overthinking and over-analyzing. So you'll probably find me diving right into things and failing. The last thing that I really care about are meal times. I am very particular about meal times. So thank God for all of us, this session is after lunch. Because I'm not a very good person to be around when I'm hungry. Now with the basics out of the way, let's dive in. Oh, this doesn't seem to be working. Today I'm going to talk about refactoring resistance. But you might wonder, resistance to what? Any guesses? Or everybody's feeling sleepy after lunch? What exactly? Resistance to change, right? There are quotes about change that we all like. Change is inevitable, growth is optional, change is the law of nature, and we all like these quotes until they actually start happening to us. And when they start happening to us, the first things that we feel are discomfort and denial. Discomfort that what we believe to be true is no longer true. Denial that it's really happening to us. And discomfort of how are we going to adapt to the change that is coming our way. Now there is one big change that is coming into engineering and is fundamentally changing how we think, how we do things, how we code, how we do releases. Any guesses what that fundamental change is? Yes, I was hoping I didn't have to give you a hint, but you are a smart audience, so thank you so much for doing that. Moving on from change, now when you encounter change, or when you encounter discomfort in code, when your code is not stable, when your application is not doing well, what do you do as engineers? There is a fundamental thing that you do to an application when it's unstable, when it's not behaving as expected. Any guesses what that is? Yeah, that's probably the first thing that, or you say, why don't you restart, right? That's what tech support always tells you. But you refactor an application, right? Every time your application is unstable, your system is not behaving as expected, you refactor. So if you are able to make your application stable through refactoring, when there is discomfort, you should also be able to refactor when you come across resistance to change, AKA the two alphabets? Yes. So, but I'm going to share this with a very, in a very simple form. You might feel I'm oversimplifying things, but most beautiful things in this world are simple, right? So I'm going to talk about 6 concepts. What is cognitive ease? What is a trigger? What is resistance? What is dissatisfaction, vision, and first steps? But I'm going to first start with a story. And it's my story, so I'm going to tell it my way. This is my story. I love Garfield, by the way, as all of you can see. And me as Garfield was in a state of cognitive ease. I hate driving, so I was in a state of cognitive ease where I was like, an Uber or an Ola is a click away. Life is beautiful. Everything is running as it should be. And enter a trigger. And that trigger was the COVID pandemic. Now, when I encountered the trigger, my first instance was resistance. I thought the pandemic will be over, clicks and cabs will be back soon. Did that happen? No. So what did I have to do? Any guesses? Yeah, that's a bit of a spoiler. But then refactoring entered the room. As you can see, I love penguins as well, especially the ones from Madagascar. So I refactored. I refactored through dissatisfaction, vision, and first steps. Dissatisfaction of not being able to go anywhere and depending on somebody for basic mobility. I created a vision of, hey, I want to be able to go somewhere, wherever I wish with comfort. And of course, I did the basic first steps of learning the ABCs, booking a lesson, getting to a driving test. I'll put a pause on this story. If you want to know more about this story, catch me in the lobby and we'll continue this story because we need to go back to refactoring the resistance in an engineering context. Before I move forward, I want to introduce this concept called Gleicher's formula for change. Again, I don't want to get into management consulting jargon, but this works and I'll demonstrate in a bit how. So we learned 6 concepts of cognitive ease, a trigger, which is often met with resistance, and then we refactor. And we refactor through dissatisfaction, vision, and first steps. Now, all of you might be wondering what that has to do with AI and engineering, which I'm going to explain next. So when we start looking at cognitive ease in the context of engineering, it's important to understand the evolution of engineering. So early engineering was in the 1970s, in the 1990s, when computing power was scarce. Computers took up full rooms. We had manual processes. We had very high failure rates. So our only motto was, make it work, keep it running. Past the 1990s to the 2000s saw a very big shift. We had shared best practices. We knew how workflows would behave. We had more control over systems. Computers were not taking up entire rooms anymore. So we said, okay, we know how this works. Now, if you zoom in from the 2000s to the next decade, do observe that the rate of change has accelerated. What started from the 1970s to the 2000s, the next change happened within 10 years. And we started seeing buzzwords that we all know today. Cloud, SRE, DevOps, automation, observability, and so much more, right? We started moving towards more predictable engineering. And we often said to ourselves every time we came across an engineering problem that, hey, this looks familiar. We've seen this before. So engineering got optimized for execution and not innovation, which means that past the 2020s, we started moving to a phase of cognitive ease, the place where everything feels familiar, everything feels like it's in control. Every time you enter cognitive ease, it's the perfect time for a trigger. And a trigger did appear. And this is where the 2 favorite alphabets of the world right now come in. So 2020s is when AI started appearing and sort of has now effectively started disrupting the way we engineer, the way we think, the way we write our messages, the way we search for things, right? So we are at the cusp of a very fundamental change as far as not just engineering, but life around us is concerned. Every time there is cognitive ease and there is a trigger, we encounter resistance. Now, what does resistance look like? I explained earlier that resistance is a combination of denial and discomfort. I have some engineering examples of denial and discomfort, which you may find familiar. Nothing is broken. We are shipping. We are making releases. The users are happy. Customers are happy. Nothing is broken. Why do we need to change it? I don't trust the output. These are all very early models. I have to validate things. How do I know if it's correct? Does it understand the context of my application? So we often say, I don't trust the output. This doesn't fit our code base. This is my favorite one. And I hear it a lot from my engineering teams. Our application is custom. Our application is very complex. AI is too generic, and it will probably not fit what we do. Does any of this sound familiar? Have you heard this? Have you said this yourself? Show of hands. Okay, I see a few people. Maybe discomfort is where we will see more people raising hands, or you don't want to admit it. So discomfort, this will slow us down. I will have to spend a lot of time validating things than coding. I would just rather do it myself, right? We will lose our standards. People will lose creativity. They will become over-reliant on AI. And this last one is also my favorite. Let us wait till it matures. Let us wait till it reaches a position where it's stable, it's predictable, we can depend on it. There are a lot of risks with this innovation, so let's not change things and let's just keep things the way they are. And I'm not bringing this up, or I'm not coming up with this on my own, and this is valid, and these are things that I've heard from engineering teams that I work with. Now, when resistance comes in, what do? We refactor it. We refactor it through dissatisfaction, clarity, and first steps. Now, here what I've done is, I've tried to come up with examples that you all probably encounter day in and day out. When you look at dissatisfaction, ask yourself, what is something that I'm doing today that I would rather not do? What is something that is unnecessarily hard for me? I've taken 3 examples. There can be more, and I've taken them for the sake of simplicity since I've only 20 minutes to wrap this up. So for example, PR reviews are taking too long. We are writing the same logic repeatedly. Onboarding an engineer to the system is taking us months. Is this something that you find meaningful, or is this something that feels repetitive and unnecessarily hard to do? So identify your dissatisfaction in the work that you do. Create a vision. So for example, if PR reviews are taking too long, I would rather have my leads and reviewers spend more time on architecture, spend more time on customer-centric and business decisions. If we are rewriting the same logic multiple times, I would rather spend that time doing innovation rather than just repetition. Okay. There is something wrong with the display. So PR reviews taking time, onboarding is taking time, there is a lot of repetition that you're encountering. When you go to the first steps, I'm not sure if somebody, okay, I think I'll probably continue. When you go to the first steps, if PR reviews are taking too long and you want your reviewers to spend more time on architectural decisions, you may want to look at summarizing PR reviews through AI. If, for example, you are looking at onboarding taking a lot of time, you want the onboarded engineer to make their first meaningful contribution to the code faster, why don't you come up with contextual onboarding documentation or conversational onboarding documentation? If you're doing a lot of repetitive work, why don't you come up with areas where the AI is able to refactor your code or identify repetitive patterns in your code? Again, like I said, I may be oversimplifying this, but this is a start that you can make in terms of identifying friction areas, figuring out what you would rather do, and taking the first steps to making things happen. Let us all admit that the world of AI is overwhelming. Every day there is a new release, every day there is a new demo, and every day we are playing catch up. So where do you start? How do you begin? And how do you keep up with it? My last slide was takeaways. I don't think, oh, thank you. While the world seems doom and gloom right now with a lot of models coming in and the pace of change being highly accelerated than it has been before, I do want to end this on a positive note by saying that engineering, particularly software engineering, has fundamentally changed the way we look at the world. It has changed the way we live our lives day in and day out. Every day you open your eyes and you interact with technology or a software engineering medium. So the evolution of AI does not mean that the software engineering practice that we have has failed. AI is actually proof that engineering has far exceeded the expectations that we had of how far we could have gone with engineering. So the final takeaways that I have is we all live in a state of cognitive ease by default, where we want things to stay the way they are, but then disruption gets caused by an external trigger, which leads to resistance. It's not a signal, it's not a blocker, it's a signal, and you need to identify how you want to refactor it. And I gave you examples of how you would refactor it. Start with that one thing that you do every day that you wish you didn't have to do. Right? And then create what you would rather do instead and start taking the first steps towards making things happen. Believe me, like I said, the best things and the most beautiful things in this world are simple, while we are overwhelmed with the level of things that AI can do and the number of models out there and Copilot and Cursor and Claude and all of that. Use this framework to drown out the noise and really take actionable steps towards change. I want to end by giving one example of how I tried this with my engineering team and my engineering leads. We wanted to increase AI adoption at Agile. We started with a Cursor membership for everyone, but that just didn't change adoption. There were people who were not using it. There were people who were just skeptical of using it. So one thing that we introduced was a Cursor leaderboard. So every month, my director of engineering publishes a cursor leaderboard and says, hey, who's been using it enough, who's not been using it. We've even gone to the extent of deactivating it for people who are not using it. So there is a reward and a, I don't want to call it punishment, but there is a reinforcement mechanism that we've created to make sure that AI adoption is easy to do, and that's one of the examples that I can share with all of you. I hope you found this useful. And in the end, I want to thank all of you for patiently listening to what I would say is a non-geeky topic of the day. I tried to make it as geeky and as nerdy as possible. I hope I was successful. And I also want to thank Abbas, Vishal, the rest of the Laracon team.
So you know how to hold it? More like this. Okay, it's perfect. Yours is hers also not working? Okay, so you'll ask question to yourself and you'll answer. Correct? Because we have only one mic. But no problem. I'll just do it in a way so that it will come closer to you. So can we start? For you, I have rapid fire. Okay. You have to pick one among them. And that has to be too fast. So what I'll do, I'll just say it. Yeah. Vlad, this is how it will work. I'll say it and then give it and then I'll take it back in 1 second. Okay? I'll keep distance like this so that I'm audible with this level, right? Perfect. What happens if I don't answer it in 1 second? No, you have to answer. If you don't answer, then you have to jump from here and then jump again from there to here. You're not treating a local well, by the way. No, you are so amazing personality. आप तो घर के हो. Yes, rapid fire. Okay, fix it now or fix it later.
Fix it now, always.
Second, small improvements or big rewrite?
Small improvements.
Wow. Clean code or working code?
Working code.
देखा क्या स्पीड है. Planning first or start and improve?
Start and improve. I said that in my introduction.
Perfect.
Question doesn't count.
Okay, cancel. PPT Mati, no more questions like this. Fifth, comfort zone or learning zone?
Learning zone.
Sixth, consistency or speed?
Can I say both?
Yeah, but just pick one.
Consistency.
Nice. 7, solo focus or team discussions?
Can I say both to this too?
No.
Okay, team discussions.
Perfect. Thank you. Number 8, refactor alone or refactor together?
Refactor together, that's what I said, right?
Nice. Number 9, calm evenings or busy city life?
Calm evenings, calm evenings.
Number 10, short-term pain or long-term gain?
Do I have a choice on this? I don't think we get to choose this in life. Do we? Yeah, maybe long-term gain?
Long-term gain is the answer. Do we have one more as well? I think 10 is done, right? Bhavdeep, all 10 questions? Okay, perfect. Last question from my side. Dabeli or vada pav?
Dabeli, always. So there is an Ahmedabadi shift to the dabeli and the vada pav both, in butter and in oil. Thank you.
Thank you, Hetal, for being awesome, being amazing on stage. Thank you very much.